man. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it just feels they're coming in just being able to know it's like this is what we're doing, and then get into it. So
Yeah. Yeah.
feels good.
No, I like it. I like it. It's good. What are we doing with these?
All right, just slide over, brother. Get straight into the mix.
Ugh.
Bring it a bit closer, I reckon. Yo, 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 yo.
It's a bit weird, isn't it?
Bring it a bit closer.
Even more closer.
Yeah. Can you
It's gonna
bring it up a bit more?
It's going to be fucking up in my grill over here.
It's all comfort. It's all for comfort. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I suppose.
Headphones good?
Yeah, I feel like I'm a little bit.
Huh?
There we go. There we go.
Feel a bit better.
All right, man.
Well, back again. And like I said to you, man, Anthony Lawrence, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I feel like I said to you today on the phone, out of any person that I could call in my contacts list, just have a really good conversation with, it's you. I get really excited the mornings that I drive out to go train, knowing that if I give Anthony a call, we're going to drop in,
Yeah, and I suppose I'm pretty blessed to have that. I suppose that title. That's pretty good. So yeah, thanks, man. That's appreciated.
I just feel like it's just consistency, like as in, and we're talking about in the car, and I feel like the episode started in the car, but it's just like that consistency with you of just that one face. You know what I mean? That people that know who you are. You don't pivot or change for anyone, and that authenticity in itself is what I just know. It's like your favorite meal at the Outback Steakhouse. You know exactly what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same with you, is like knowing even before you answer the call, or if you don't answer, or you're going to call me later, I know it's going to be that same consistency. You know what I mean? So
I suppose the thing with myself is, and you'd hope that this would be the same for everybody else as well, is that when people have a conversation, they're not just being yes men, first and foremost, but they're also coming at things with no judgment and love. And that's kind of, I suppose that it's intrinsically ingrained in my persona, but at the same time, I can be stupid and silly, and I can also, take the piss out of you or myself at any given moment. So it's easy to kind of switch between being authentically switched into knowing how you feel, but also being able to take the piss out of you in a drop of a hat. You know what I mean? So I think you're kind of the same as well, to a degree. Yeah. And you'd hope that other people could do the same. You know what I mean? I think a lot of the times when we have someone to talk to, a lot of the times there's so much personal vulnerabilities and fear of judgment that they don't want to let the walls down. And a lot of times people want to just have a response rather than listen to what the other person's saying. I think that's another factor as well. So it's good that we've got each other, man, to be honest with you, because I've been in some states and you've been in some states, and no one's ever above anyone, I suppose, in reference to this big experience of life that we're all living through. You know what I mean? When chaos comes into your life, you have to have that one person, and I'm thankful, man, that it's you. And I've got other people as well that I can sort of bounce off of, which is great. I think it's good, man. Men need men, and like women need men as well, and men need women. So you just need to know that you need to know the person, I think, that you can have those conversations with. Yep. And if anyone out there has that person, reach out to them and tell them, fuck, man. And you say it to me every single time you speak, and I'm so grateful. Yeah. So grateful that we can have these conversations. Because not many people do. Yeah. Not many people have that person. Yeah. And a lot of the times I think, without trying to ramble too much, a lot of people don't have that person because they haven't let their walls down to be vulnerable enough to have that person.
To find that person,
Yeah. People will surprise you, man. I got a mate, right? He goes to Atmosphere, and these guys are most open, transparent, and like emotionally vulnerable guy you could fucking, like, he's just so open. He'll talk to people in the sauna and he'll make connections, right? And he'd tell me about it. I met this random dude in the sauna and just started telling him about this shit that I'm going through without, like, him being, you know, wanting a pity party and wanting sympathy. He's just talking about his shit that's going on in his life, and it's shit you wouldn't normally talk about with just a random stranger. And he'll be so fucking strong to be able to go, oh man, I'm going through this. What do you think? And then that person will let down their wall.
Yeah. It's like, you want to jump in the pool with me, or you're going to stay on the outside? Because I'm happy to jump all the way in.
Well, some people, the strangers sometimes, most of the time, like, we have the inclination to think the other person is just going to think I'm a weird cunt or weak or whatever. You know what I mean? But a lot of times when I'm hearing through him, and I've done this too in saunas and all those sorts of things as well, which is why important. Unwind's really important for those connections as well. And I'm not selling the fucking thing here, right? I'm just saying, like, a lot of the times connections like that where, like, there's barriers up.
Yeah.
Once you start to open up the dialogue, strangers can become friends. And with my friend, he's kind of said that to me over. He goes, man, I just talk to people, and I'm not guarded in reference to shit that may be going on, and they let down their barriers, and all of a sudden we have a connection. Because once you let the vulnerability wall down, you start to see, one, it's okay for me to be flawed, and two, that person has shit going on as well.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? And they have a connection of, like, we're just people trying to navigate this fucking chaotic life that everyone's got, and everyone's got their own shit. You know what I mean? Like, he would be, like, saying something to someone and they thought their problems were big.
Yeah.
And vice versa. I've had that too, where I'm like, I thought my problems were big, and this guy, you know what I mean? He's got fucking something so much more going on than I have, and I've got to be appreciative for my small problems.
Yeah, exactly.
He's got bigger problems.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's really important to have that person just to round that little bit off with about, like, I'm happy it's you, and I know we've got a good relationship in reference to that, and it being there's not just like you ring me when you have problems. You know what I mean?
Yep. I massively agree with that. And that was like, in my head, I was like, all right, me and Anthony are going to drop in and we're going to have a bit of real talk, because then now moving forward, that's what I've changed all the names of the podcast just to be just real conversations. And usually with podcasts, you sort of go back and you talk about their story and whatever they're moving through and stuff like that. And then when it comes to our conversation, it was like, we can go there if you want. And I think maybe going back, I think if anything, it will be the core of this conversation, I feel like, would be our connection and talking about that and giving people an opportunity to see that, especially men that listen. It's like, you can have someone that's like, man, like, I'll call you and it's just, we just get straight to it. Like this podcast today, we just go straight to that point. And, you know, I've got friends that I'll call up and we'll talk about the UFC and footy and whatever. It's you or me. We just go straight to life. And I think with our connection, it's as a part of me feels like our upbringings are very similar, you know, in a lot of ways of learning to pave the way ourselves, with, you know, the guidance that we got was what we got, whether it was supposed to be more or less, I think it just is. And, you know, how many times, you know, we lean into, you know, our faith of the universe and, you know, like, you know, polarity, and we're talking about law of rhythm, and, you know, the Kybalion, I know is something that's very close to you, and something that I've actually got the book at home. So after we spoke today, I was like, I've got to get into that book.
Yeah.
Because, you know, how many times we're moving through something and we're just like, we'll dissect it together.
Yep.
And you'll just like pinpoint these little things. It's like you're looking in my blind spot and you'll just pinpoint a little things, like, you know, rather than focusing on, you know, the last week when I called you about a thing that I moved through, an incident, or call it an incident or a conversation or whatever. You know, one of the first things you said to me was, bro, how many people wouldn't have had that conversation? Like, show yourself some grace and some, you know, some love that you put yourself in an uncomfortable position. And straight away I was like, yeah, I didn't think of that. You know what I mean? So I left, even like, you know, something that I possibly would have held on to for maybe a day, man, it was gone in 20 minutes after our conversation. You know what I mean? And I was just like, wow, like having that person in your corner, just checking your blind spot consistently, you know. And sometimes it's, it's we move through a full thing of one specific subject, or we'll just bounce about a little bit of things. Like even, we didn't even talk about the whole Bondi thing, where a lot of friendships at the moment be calling each other out of fear, which is, you got to get out where you got to get out. But even today's conversation was just so uplifting, and then it aligned perfectly that I was in Marsden Park, you're in Hassel Grove. I was like, bro, I'll pick you up, we'll go to a pod, and here we are. So,
well, that's the thing, Matt. I think the undertones of you touched on the Kybalion there, and that's where I credit a lot of my wisdom from. For those people who don't know what it is, it's basically just pointing out the universal principles of how the world works, essentially, and the universe works actually as a larger scale. And it just tells you, the thing is about the book, I've been researching that for literally 10 years, right? Because the wisdom is that deep that reading it once will never, ever do you justice. You'll superficially get it, and you'll be able to point, you should be able to point to certain things where you can go, I can illustrate that. Like the first law is the law of mentalism. Everything's mental, right? You can't have anything without mental. And then there's, vibration. Everyone's becoming aware of quantum science now, where everything vibrates, nothing rests, right? That's a second principle of the Kybalion. Yeah. You know what I mean? Then there's correspondence. Correspondence is everything's connected. I think those two laws might actually be swapped. I think correspondence is number 2, and then vibration is number 3. But correspondence is basically what everyone knows organically, that there's a mind, body, and a spirit. Do you know what I mean? And they're all connected. And spiritually, if everything is infinite and the whole spirit, then mentally you can think of it. Then in the real world, in the physical world, you can make it happen. That's the body, right? So mind, body, spirit is one of those sorts of things. So these are concepts, and there's 7 of them, technically 8, but the 8th one is generation, for those people who know what the Kybalion is, but don't know what it's Genesis, essentially. So, but yeah, those first 3, everyone that listening can go, yeah, I can agree with that. I can attest to that. Second one, that's irrefutable. Third one, I'm pretty sure that's pretty sound. Yep. You know what I mean? So as you go through them, it's kind of one of those things that you realize they layer on top of each other. And what I'm getting at in terms of wisdom is I draw from that because I've tried to read it backward, forward, dissect it. I've tried to dispute it, you know what I mean? Yep. And every single time the laws you can't not be doing. You can't not be doing them. Yep. You know what I mean? Because the way the universe is constructed, how things work and unfold, you'll be able to see it layered through every instance and every circumstance that happens within your life. And I'm just fortunate enough that I've looked at it enough that I can see those issues in you, which I think is probably one of those things that it's easier to dissect someone else's problem.
Yeah.
And that's where you recenter me. Do you know what I mean? And I recenter you. And I've just got that wealth of knowledge of the Kybalion where I can go, oh, this is that law, this, that one, and that one together. And I understand that the first law is mentalism. So if we have something go on, something chaotic, essentially what you and I are doing is recentering us each other, and getting back to that centered point mentally, so we can physically take action to the next step. And I think both of us, within our conversations and circumstances that have happened in our life, like the one that happened last week, we've both been able to do it without thinking. So it's a practice, it's a constant practice and mastery that happens. So when people look at the Kybalion, it's not a thing like, I've got to read that book and that's it. No, you've got to study it. You've got to learn how it applies and how to apply it and how to move forward. So I think that's what we're doing. So with the Bondi shooting and all that sort of stuff, that takes you off center because it's meant to emotionally shake you out of off center, which is why I haven't been affected as much. Is because I have stepped back from social media and I don't watch mainstream media. And it's not because I'm ignorant, because I know that happened, but I'm like, fear is a big tool of people trying to steal your energy and keeping you in chaos.
Yep.
And keeping that vibrational low without getting conspiratorial. I'm just saying, in general, how the modern society is set up is to keep your attention on something.
Yeah.
And most of the time it directs to low vibrational attention taken away from, away from where it basically steals your power, essentially, your power to create the next thing.
No, 100%. I know, and that's one thing I feel when, like, with our conversations and everything else is that, you know, the reason that I wanted to have this conversation is to be able to be real and to be able to talk about whatever we're moving through. Because that's the thing with life, we're always moving to the next thing, and it's rather than holding on to things or letting things play out. Like if I'm holding on to things, I'll give you a call and say, hey, I'm just moving through this. Like, can you give me some sort of retrospect? You know what I mean? Or give me some sort of, what do you, what can you see when you talk about this? And then, and you don't ever play sides. It's more, keep it very neutral, and a lot of people that listen to this podcast in particular, knows that this podcast is designed for self-development, you know what I mean? And we talk about centeredness and we talk about recentering yourself and finding that place within you that you just feel comfortable, like you feel comfort, but knowing that things are going to shift, and that's what we're talking about in the car on the drive here. And one thing we wanted to raise is, finding that center from experiences which take you off course to bring yourself back to center, to know that there is tools out there through your own wisdom and being open and vulnerable with people and obviously all the other practices that come with it, mind, body, soul, to recenter yourself as much as possible, because that's the aim of the game, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, ever expansion. Yeah, expansion. That's what whatever God you believe in or whatever you think this experience is, it's expansion. It's to experience it. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's basically my answer to I tried to solve this probably about 10 years ago when I started Kybalion, and I came to the realization that the age-old question, what's the meaning of life? And I came to the conclusion to experience it and to evolve, to get better than you were when you fucking started. You know what I mean? To be a better person every single time and invoke, I suppose, the way you live your life, to live it in accordance with your moral compass. Do you know what I mean? A lot of people don't do that either. Yeah. That's one thing that we haven't talked about before. I don't think we have anyway. Is that, like, first thing I taught my son as a man is not how to fight, not how to, what to do, or how to earn money or anything like that. It was like, develop your own moral compass, regardless of mine. Yep. Develop your own moral compass and live your life in accordance to it. Understand how the universe works with those fundamental. My kids know the Kybalion. Yeah, wow. They know that. They can tell you all the. And my daughter knows it better than I do, because women are more intuitively linked into the universe than anyone. Yeah, you know what I mean. They're spiritually, they're connected, bro. Yeah. So when a woman says something, I say they're going to be right all the time, but they're linked into intuition a lot better than men are. So, but yeah, like, that's the first thing I sort of taught him, is to develop a moral compass, decide what's good for you in reference to living a life of love, because that's one of the highest vibrational emotions you can operate from. So if you're operating from hate like these people did on the weekend, that's a low vibrational frequency. Yep. And we can all agree that nothing good comes from that. Yep. So don't get caught up in the details of, XYZ religion, and this is why they did it, and this is who they are. Just like we can all agree in the centeredness of everything that killing people is not cool. It's not good. Yeah. I think the collective as a community can say that we don't want that as a reoccurring thing. You know what I mean? Rather than spill hate and operate out of that mental state, the first law of being, hateful and negative and, an eye for an eye, that sort of thing. Yep. It's like, no, we've got to collectively say, morally, within our collective community moral compass, that's not cool, and we're not operating like that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yep. I think that's the one thing about a community, is community has defined standards and rules and collective agreements on morality. Do you know what I mean? Yep. So I think for people, if we're talking about this podcast being helpful and this conversation of you and I being helpful, I think it's important to develop your own moral compass.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And stick to it. Because like I try not to lie. Not to say that I've never lied, and I don't tell lies here and there, but every time I do, I know it's an infraction upon my moral compass.
Yeah, gotcha.
Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Because you know how many times I've been at work and had to be vulnerable to my boss by saying, I did this.
Yep.
I fucked up.
Yep.
You know what I mean? With your partner, with anyone, honesty gets you further than lying.
Yep.
Because it takes one lie to unravel 100 truths.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I think everyone can attest to that and knows that's the truth. You know what I mean?
When you talk about moral compass, what comes up for me is finding your own moral compass. I was having a conversation with a guy here the other day, and I remember saying to him, you are one of one. Like, no one in this whole world has lived the exact life you have from the day you were born to now. So what makes you think that other people outside of you has those answers for you to uncover? You know, and I'm not saying that you don't use people as guides, and, you know, because I think a part of me there for a second, and I think it was just the attachment of looking for an older male role model, possibly refilling the gaps of my dad that he didn't give that I was looking for. I was always chasing this older male figure as my guide. And I'm like, he's got the answers. Yeah. No, he's got the answers. Oh, no, he's got the answers. I remember I just kept traveling, and I was like, no, you have the answers. And talking to this guy the other day on the lounge, and we're talking about, and I was saying how you're one of one. No one has lived this life the way you have. So don't expect to find the answers outside of yourself. I'm not saying you don't use people like information and books and podcasts and stuff like that, but I just think a lot of people subconsciously think someone outside there, especially with social media, how it's all amplified now, and there's 1,000 things on there at any given point which numbs you out and thinks, fuck, I'm not going to find my answers. I really that's why I did the podcast as well, and I bring it up in one way or another on each episode. It's like, I can only experience and talk about my answers of what I've developed within myself, which I hope gives you some sort of feeling to go within yourself to find your answers, you know, because you've got them, and it's about going in to find them. People go, yeah, but how do I go inside? It's like, how was your life? How was it? You know, I've gone down memory lane of the way I was brought up. I go down the memory lane with my dad. A lot of traits there, things that I, learned, didn't learn, wanted to learn, things I was craving, things I didn't get, and then obviously changing the way for my kids, that's obviously one part of your own self-development journey of like, all right, how did you grow up? What was it like when you were growing up? Was it, I was a big kid, so I've got those insecurities, and I've wrapped it up in the bodybuilding attachment, and, and I've gone down that lane, and it's like, it's an ongoing thing. I don't think I'm ever going to find this place that I'm fully developed, which is great because I like that. Keep developing and learning new things about yourself. But I feel like you are one of one, and going in to be able to find those answers, it just gives you, like, so many situations come up now, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to hold on to that because I know what that brings. Or I know I've already worked that out, so I'm just going to let that play out. You know what I mean? And I think for the last 5-6 years, that has gotten deeper and deeper. And obviously it's an ongoing journey of learning about yourself, but I think it's such a powerful thing to know that you're the one with the answers.
Yeah. And I think that is an important thing in terms of self-worth, knowing that you're one of one. Do you know what I mean? Because people think they're not important. You're like, no, there's only one. There's only one of you. That's a good concept. I love that concept, is that you are important because everyone is someone. You're not no one. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of like, no, but you're somebody. You're one of one. No one else is made the same. No one else has had your journey. Do you know what I mean? People can have similar journeys, and like you said, you can look at mentors or people that you look at and you're looking for lessons and wisdom, and you may be able to draw from their wisdom and see how to navigate your next step, but the answer is within you.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? The answer is, and all will always be, with you getting centered, understanding what has happened to others before, understanding where your circumstance is now, and what's the best way to navigate out of it towards. It's that pendulum swing. You know what I mean? The Kybalion has a law called the law of rhythm, where the measure of the pendulum swing to the left is the measure of the pendulum swing to the right. And for every negative, there's going to be an equal and opposite positive that comes, right? It's being able to understand that any negative thing that happens to you can be shifted mentally using a law of what's known as polarity. So the measure of opposites, right? So if you can think of it negatively, you can think of it positively, all right? So let's look at the Bondi shooting because you brought it up. Negative side of it, we've got these shooters that have killed people. There's so much loss, so much drama. On the opposite polarity side of it, if we switch our mental frame using law 1 and using polarity, law 4, and say, what's the positives of this? Well, we can collectively as a community can look at that and say, that's not what we want. All right? It draws us closer together as a community, tight-knit to say we need to refine what's socially acceptable and what's not, and not let it create division, which is the ultimate design of things like that.
Yep.
War is meant about division. How do you conquer any mass of people? Divide and conquer.
Yep.
If you're divided, you're not unified. If you're not unified, you're weak.
Yep.
Unified, you're strong.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That's what one thing that Genghis Khan had. He had this. There's a little analogy. I think it's a little analogy is what you would call it. But there's a story where he grabbed a stick and he was telling his people, all right, his warriors, his generals, and he was like, if I grab this stick and I snap one branch, you know, it's weak. You grab a bundle of sticks together and try to snap them.
Yeah.
You can't do it, right? It's harder to do to break something that's solidified into unity. It's the same stick repeated over with the same purpose, right? Yeah. So it's kind of like, okay, you can't break those, that bundle of sticks, but when you are divided, you will fall. When you're unified, it's harder to break. Yeah. And that's what I think there's the example of polarity, mentalism, and, you know what I mean, seeing the positive in the negative.
Well, when you bring that up, the first thing that come up for me is for years there, I was holding on to this attachment of like, when my old man would hang out with my kids, I'd have this unease feeling in my body, and it was a negative feeling, and it was, and I didn't know what it was, and I'm like, and then I'd leave and I'd feel guilty because I'm like, why are you bottled up when your dad's playing with your kids? Like, it's a good moment, everyone's happy. Why are you the negative one? And I had to go there and I had to work out what it was, and it ended up being that it was like why didn't this happen more when we were younger? So I was holding on to the attachment of, and it was such a negative feeling, man. I'll never forget it. Like, it would bubble up in my body when we'd hang out, and I'd be so hard to be present, and it wouldn't be till I leave and I'd be like, feel guilty about why weren't you just there with them? And then I realized it was like, where was that, you know, when we were a bit younger? But then now I look at it, once again, let the pendulum swing. How blessed am I that he's moved through his own process of when I was young, he was moving through some stuff. He's developed as a person. Now he's got the presence to realize how important life is and how important connection is with your loved ones and stuff like that. So now he brings that presence to the kids because he's gone through his own process.
Yep.
So now who am I to block that? So now I look at the positive. So when he plays with my kids, I feel like he's playing with me. So I'm looking at that going, that's great that they received that, because I would rather be the one, the chink in the chain to flip the whole thing than my kids. Because it's either it gets passed on or you flip the chain. So when you talk about that, that's 100% something that come up for me. Was like, for years I held on to this feeling. Well, now I'm just immersed in it. And it's just such a beautiful feeling the whole way through. I don't leave with guilt because I knew I wasn't present. I let the whole thing play out and find the positives in it, you know.
Yeah, and that's, I suppose there was a resentment there when you were seeing that. You're feeling resentful, which is a low vibrational frequency, which is why it felt negative. And then you obviously got guilt and shame when he left as well. Continuing on, shifting the emotional thing that you're feeling, but still staying emotionally on a low vibration, which is great. Again, looking at just shifting that whole scenario, I'm going to point out to the listeners here that you can look at it as one of those things that was a negative thing that you went through, but the offside of it, the opportunity for your growth to be where you are right now, because you had the mental fortitude to go, why do I feel like this? The answers are within me. Going back to what you said before, I have the answers. You went within, it was uncomfortable, but you found them. Hey, man, just be grateful. Just be appreciative that the fact that he's here now. You know what I mean? Yeah, he may not have been where you wanted him to be back then. He's had his own stuff going on, which you as a father can understand. You've got your own stuff going on.
Yep.
And you're like, oh, man, you recentered yourself to be able to see through a different lens. Man, that's the same scenario.
Nothing changed.
The kid's playing with your dad.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, except now you're looking at it through a different lens, which is the power that each and every one of us have.
Yeah.
We have that.
When you talk about that too, about shifting your state, everyone has the capabilities and the access point to be able to find that, because it's funny how your whole persona changes on a certain situation, but the situation didn't change.
Yep.
Or you'll be moving through something and you'll be in a worried state about something happening, but then 2 days later you'll just realize that it hasn't happened yet, and you've accepted that it just will play the way it's supposed to. That's the thing where I feel like a lot of people get caught up is just recentering yourself to come back, to let things just play out. Like, how many times do we talk about just letting things play out? And obviously it's easier said than done.
Yep.
But I think it's when we're trying to control and we think that we have control, that's where faith comes in, of just accepting things as they are. How many times do we use a quote of like, what happened for a reason. It is what it is.
Yep.
The most cliche but profound quotes in the universe. And I just feel like when you can embody what the quote, it is what it is, means, and you can feel it in your body and go, I've accepted this for what it is. And I'm not saying you've got to accept things straight away and let it all just be, but you sort of do. But you've just got to enable your body to process it and see it for what it is, rather than being so controlled and attached to letting things just play out. And how many times have we just like let go of things and it's like magic?
It works itself out, yeah. I think mentally, I don't think it's necessarily the body. I think it secondarily would be the body, but it starts in the mind. And it comes back to what you just said about faith, is knowing that the universe conspires on your behalf always. I always will say that to you. Sorry, go.
When you say, because I want to push that point. When you say that, for me, I have this second part of like the universe always conspires in your favor. Is that
on your behalf?
On your behalf. What if it's in a negative context?
In what respect?
So say, for example, I'm a bad person, I do bad things and stuff like that. Will the universe still conspire on my behalf?
Yeah, jail time.
Okay.
Yeah, jail time will come.
So just and karma.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you call it karma. I call it the rhythmic swing of the pendulum. Rhythm is in play.
Yeah.
You can get away with that pendulum swing of you causing harm, but guess what? The pendulum swings the other way. And some people say, hey, so I know this person and they did a life of crime and got away with it. Okay, you can say that, and that may be true, but when you zoom out and realize we're not in one life, we think about this spiritually.
Yep.
All right? But depending on whether you believe in reincarnation or not, there is spiritual retribution to pay for what you do in this life. Right? So if you're not operating out of love and you're operating out of hate, hurtfulness, all those low vibrational frequencies, you're probably going to cop that back. If you've imparted that upon somebody else, you're eventually going to get it back with the rhythmic swing of things in the next life.
Okay.
That's kind of what happens. A lot of times you'll see like serial killers and stuff like that. They'll impart a lifetime of ills on people, and they'll end up with colon cancer and die like in a dramatic way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's kind of like it. The thing with rhythm and the thing with cause and effect, which is another one of the laws. It's number 6. Everything has a cause. You know what I mean? Nothing just is random. Yeah. All right. Every effect has its cause, and every cause has its effect. All right. Again, everybody can attest to that as being a reality that they can point to as something and go, yeah, no, that's true. Every cause has an effect, right? So if you cause a lifetime of harm, the problem with that is a lag period. Cause and effect, and even when you develop unwind, The cause of unwind was the thought you had, right? And the intention. The effect of it becoming reality in the physical was it wasn't a lifetime, but it was a number of years of ups, downs, of getting it to manifest itself to what it is, what we're sitting in right now, right? The same way, so there's that lag period that I'm talking about, right? You had the cause being your thought, and then the effect at the end was it's done, it's constructed, but there was a lag period in between of ups and downs that you had to go through to get there.
Yep.
So my point is the cause and effect is not immediate. There's always sometimes it's immediate, sometimes there's a big lag period. Sometimes that lag period is a lifetime.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I mean? So when we talk about that, like the universe is conspiring on your behalf, yeah, you've probably had to learn some lessons and cause some harm, because you'll see a lot of people that get rehabilitated, the real ones that get rehabilitated from causing a lifetime of harm, and it's because they were harmed, generally, and they've continued it on. You know what I mean? So the effect of their cause, of them being harmed, was they cause harm.
Yep.
They perpetually, until they polarly, mentally get into the state where like, I don't want to cause harm. I'm causing harm because I'm hurt.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They have to get there mentally to shift it. And if you don't learn it in this life, you're spiritually going to learn it in the next, because you'll get given it again. Do you know what I mean? Until you
learn
mentally. Yeah. So, and that's when we talk about the complexity and the intelligence of the universe. Those people are an example to us. Do you know what I mean? So you can look at them and point at them and say, you're a bad person. We shouldn't be pointing our finger and judging them, because we know we have traits that aren't good.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? But you can look at them and say, I don't want to be like that, and mentally engage the shift to go, I'm actively going to define my own moral code and move mentally and physically with my actions to not be like that person.
Yep.
And to stand in the way. If, like, again, going back to the Bondi thing, I'm going to stand in the way. There was many people that fucking took the courage and were like, I'm going to stand up here because that's not cool. Can't do that here, bro.
Yeah.
Not having it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I suppose we're lucky enough to have those people that had that courage.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, 100%.
Could have ended they could have emptied every single bullet to every single person that they had.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it would have been a lot bigger of a death count. I don't know what the official death count is, but what I'm saying is that if those people didn't interact, if the police didn't come, if the people of the public didn't nullify things as much as they did, it could have been much worse.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean? So, but we can look at those people and say, we don't want to be like that. Yeah. We don't want that. It's an opportunity.
And like when you talk about polarity, you don't know up without down, you don't know left without right, you don't know black without white, you know.
They're all examples, yeah. That's what I'm saying. The average person can point to hot and cold and say, that's hot, that's cold. The thing is, though, Matt, it's the measure of the same thing, right? Where does cold start and hot end?
Yeah.
Doesn't.
Yeah.
Doesn't, bro. You know? So same thing with the cause and effect side of things. Where does it go from a thought with you to being reality? There's that lag period in between. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, no, here it is. Here it is when it was actually a reality.
I love that you talk about that, the lag period, and because I want to go more into that, because I feel like that's a period where a lot of people come off guard, and I've noticed that probably this year I've really developed that part of like, and you call it what you will, everyone's one of one, so you just develop your own space of, sometimes I'm in limbo, and that's where I feel like I get a little bit rocky, where it's very easy for those bad traits to come in, of the things that numb me or just give me like a little dopamine hit, because everything's dopamine related, you know what I mean? So I get in this period where like nothing's right, but nothing's good, nothing's bad. It just is, which is completely fine. But sometimes I know if it continues on like that for too long, I notice that little dopamine and that little voice of like, let's just go have a little bit of fun over here. Let's go do this over here. And for me now, I call it like a lock-in phase, where it's like you just got to lock in. How I explained to you the other day at Unwind, our 2 busiest days were our quietest days, but our 2 quietest days were our busiest days this week. And it was just like, how did that happen? You know, and I think for me, when I lock in and I'm in that period where there's always stuff going on, but I've just got to really mentally just sit and just let things just play out. And that's where it's like I lean into faith more than anything.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Because we talk about prayer. We talked about prayer in the car, and it's like people only pray when things are going good. When things are going bad. Where it's like, God, I need you for help. I need you for this. I need you for that. Where it's like, you should be praying when things are good. Because when things are good and things are stagnant, you could call it, or you're in limbo where things aren't good, but they're not bad. They just are. And I think everyone can relate to that feeling of like we're just in that phase. Stay close to God in that period, because it will take you away. Otherwise, you just might just be like, just that thought might creep in, and then you end up on a totally different trajectory. And then months later, you go through the same process and you come back.
Yeah, man. Well, that's the thing about that limbo period that you're talking about. I was explaining that to you when you're looking at the rhythm. It's the inertia that you get. It's that when the pendulum's about to shift, it's momentum. And that's where faith becomes most needed. And that's what you're talking about. So when you're in that limbo period, you call it limbo, I call it inertia, right? And from the standpoint, I agree it's limbo. But I also say that inertia, when you're looking at it from the rhythm side of it, that inertia is basically when the momentum is about to shift to go the other way. So the pendulum's about to go the other way. That's the limbo period that you're talking about. And that's when you need to activate faith the most.
Yep.
However, faith needs to be ever present, knowing that the pendulum's going to come back again anyway.
Yeah.
And whether that's a day, a minute, an hour, a week, a year, a lifetime, have faith in the fact that, you know what I mean? Ever knowing fact that the pendulum's going to swing the other way again.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? So that means when you go from bad times into good times and then pendulum swings that other way, it's going to also, there's going to be bad times again.
Yep.
And you're going to have good times again. How fast you switch the pendulum is largely, and it goes back to what we're talking about, everything's within you, and you have the power to mentally, this is just a, I suppose a thing that you and I do organically, which we don't realize that other people don't know how to shift the pendulum swing, is mentally get onto it. All right. Law number one. And then physically going about taking the action. Unwind would never, ever have happened if you didn't take action. There's one thing to have the thought, it's another thing to action it. It's another thing, whole other thing, to maintain faith when the hardships come. Yeah. And hardships are gonna fucking come. Right? Because that's the fucking job of life, is to experience it, to be ever expanding. Do you know what I mean? And that's the thing. What doesn't kill you? These sayings, I love these sayings that we were talking about earlier, because the saying that I've got in mind at the moment is, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. It's fucking true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
What doesn't kill you will make you stronger, because the next time you have something that's going to come and rock your world, bro, I'm not bulletproof, but I'm fucking tested. I'm battle hardened.
Yeah.
I've had these issues, you know what I mean? The same way the people out there listening to this, and even yourself, you've been put through tests. The older you go in life, and that's why people that are older than us, right, older than me and you, we should always, not always listen to them, but see within their journey what we can deduce and learn from what they're saying.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because life has battle hardened them too.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? And that's the point. Once you understand, that's the point of life, is to be ever expanding. And that's not to say you can't learn from someone that's younger than you, because people sometimes younger than you have been put through more crap than you have been.
Yeah.
Right? So you've got to be able to learn, but you've also got to be able to go, okay, what can I learn from their journey? And I know that when the chaos comes and the drama comes and the hardship comes, I know I can handle it.
I can lock in.
I've been more. And you have faith in it. You have faith in knowing. I've been through worse.
Yeah.
A lot of times I've said that to myself. Sorry to cut you off, Matt, but I'm kind of like had my back up against the wall, and like people are like, "How are you not freaking out? How are you not?" You know, I'm like, "I've been through worse.
Yeah.
Been through worse. We'll get through it." So, and they're like, "How do you?" They're bewildered by the faith that you have, and they don't realize that the faith you have is a direct result of being battle tested over time. Do you know what I mean? So,
and no, when you talk about your back's being up against the wall, when you know that depth of part of you've hit that point before, like I talked about on the last podcast, and I'll bring it up to the next one. Has it ever not sorted itself out? Like I've got 100%. I've got 100% faith that every single thing I've moved through, and I'm 33, has sorted itself out one way or another, whether I liked it or not. More times than not, I haven't liked it, but then I look back on hindsight and I'm like, one, I had to go through that experience, so I have this acceptance, or two, that brought the biggest blessings, the biggest heartache brought the biggest blessings later. I just couldn't see it. Yeah. So now as I've gotten older, and I think one thing we could pivot into is like emotional intelligence. I feel like this year has been a big year of me dialing into my emotional intelligence and understanding my dopamine system of how I operate. Once again, one of one going in, of knowing that when things are bad, it just is. And when things are good, it just is. Like I noticed my emotions used to pivot a lot. Like I'd be really happy when we're busy. I'd be really sad when we're quiet. Or like, and this is maybe more so the G3 like last year, and I'd lose a member and I'd think about it for 3 days, but then I'd gain 3 members over here. It literally happened the other day. This guy cancelled and I was like, oh cool. And then a girl cancelled, then another girl cancelled. I had 3 cancellations in this like 2 days. The old me would have sat with that emotionally. What have I done wrong? What is I just let it go for what it is. And then the next day, it was like the lesson was learned. And then these 2 guys messaged me about, hey man, I want to resign. Can I pay cash? I want to pay 6-8 weeks up front. I just got to get back into it over Christmas. What? Yep. But when they said that, they're going to give me money and it basically makes up for the 3 that I lost, I didn't get excited either. Yeah, I just accepted it for what it was. And it doesn't mean I go through this life emotionless. I'm just very aware that I can stay very neutral. When we talk about centeredness, if we're going to talk about emotions, we're going to talk about centeredness. That when things are bad, I can see it for what it is. It doesn't mean I don't feel those emotions anymore.
Yeah, that's important.
But and I make sure I feel the good emotions as well. But there's it's like this other layer within inside of me that's like the core of who I am, where it's like I'm not going to let this shift my emotional state no matter what. Whether it's $1 million in the account or fucking $0, I'm going to make sure I stay centered no matter what. And I think that faith there is, you can access a really powerful part of your body and your mind to know that you can just stay centered in all of it and just enjoy it all. So it's like this movie that I'm watching.
That's exactly right. Yeah. No, well, that's really good, man. Because you're the main star in that movie, right? We know that. You've heard that before, probably.
Yeah.
But centeredness is what you're talking about there, and like it is really important. It's really important that that like you said, that you feel the emotions. It's not feeling the emotions. It's not sitting in them,
touching.
Yeah, and saying that's me. You know what I mean? And oh my, woe is me, pity party, all this stuff. It's not. I'm allowed to be sad. You're allowed to be angry. You're allowed to be frustrated. You're allowed to be confused. You're allowed to not know everything. Yep. All these things, accept all of that. And then go have the awareness and the centeredness and the emotional intelligence to say, yeah, man, I feel that. That's cool. Now, how are we going to fix that? Like, how are we going to move away from that and shift that polarity switch like I was talking about mentally? And then go, okay, how are we going to move away from that? Because it's okay for you to not know everything. It's okay for you to feel sad sometimes. It's okay for you to. It's sitting in it. That's the issue. It's not productive.
Yeah, you're always going to feel pain, but you don't. That's probably the best way to describe it. Is I still feel pain. I still feel all the negative emotions, but I don't suffer anymore.
Yep.
And I don't let them linger, because it's like, all right, let's see it for what it is. Let's feel it, and that's where I feel like a lot of people, I pray find that awareness and that part of them to realize that some people just let the emotions just run fucking wild. Like they'll just wake up and just go, oh, what emotions am I going to feel today? And it's from a place of like the awareness of just like going on this fucking emotional roller coaster when you don't, but when you can identify emotion and understand different emotions and how they operate, especially as men. We don't talk about it as often as we should. Where like I'll talk to you and you're like, yeah, man, I felt a bit anxious. Like just had this anxious feeling come up. But you're aware of the emotion. You can talk about the emotion. That means that you realize that you're not the emotion.
Yeah.
Because you can talk about it, where a lot of people have this feeling going inside of them. They think that's them. And then it just shifts their whole state to focus on that emotion.
Yeah.
Where like I'll talk about it where like I felt a bit anxious the other day. Like I can pinpoint the period of when it come, when it left.
Yeah.
Or I felt a bit depressed, or I felt a bit sad, or I felt happy or grateful, or, you know, all these different emotions. And some are lower frequencies, some are high, we know that. But when you can understand emotion, you can really identify what's going on and you can digest it real quick.
Yeah, yeah. Eckhart Tolle has this saying. He says, you're not your emotion. You're the awareness behind your emotion.
Yeah.
Right? And that's basically what you're saying, essentially, is that, yeah, you don't attach to the emotion as being you. It's just something you're feeling in that moment. And being able to shift and remain centered, and getting yourself back to center, and being able to move away from it. I think we should be so emotionally intelligent that we, I suppose, we can move our emotional state to being thankful. You know who Jocko Willink is?
Yeah, yeah.
Jocko Willink's got this thing. I don't know if you've heard of it. And it's called good. You know what I mean? It's good. Anything that happens, good. Good. Something bad happens. You know what I mean? Fuck, unwind, burnt down. Good. Now I'm going to shift off and do something else. Good. I can build an even better one. Good. You know what I mean? I don't have the stress anymore. Finding the positive in the negative and then moving away from it. You know what I mean? Obviously, it's not great. It's not ideal. It's not what you'd want. But if it happens, it's happened.
It is.
And it's good. You're shifting your mind to be like, okay, I'm going to move emotionally away from the sadness of unwind being lost for the minute, and then deciding which way I'm going to move after that. You know, understanding that you are the creator of your reality. Yeah. You can be the owner that had to deal with a fire where you've lost your livelihood, or you can be the person that's coming out of that and being the survivor of that and flourishing after it. Yep. You know what I mean? You've got that creative control over what you're going to do, and not being energetically stuck in that emotion of being, you know, being the poor soul that had to deal with that.
Yeah.
You know, and I've been there. I've done that. Yeah. Everyone that knows me knows that,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
I've been that dude. I've actually lived that life. So I'm just saying, like, that's kind of like, yeah, what did I do when that happened to me? I shifted. I got to work the next day at rebuilding because I was lucky enough to have a friend at the time, and he shrouds all of his stuff in faith in Christianity, right? And I'm not saying anyone has to be anything in reference to religion. It's their own choice. But he said to me, his actually name is Christian, and he's Christian.
Yeah, wow.
Right? He was. That's how devout his parents were. Okay. Right? They named him Christian.
Love that.
And anyway, Christian said to me, no good comeback story doesn't have adversity. And he left me with this conversation, and he said, at the end of this phone conversation, what are you going to do? And hung up, cold. What are you going to do?
Bang.
Beep, beep, beep. See you later.
Yeah.
Don't get into the peep. That was the lesson.
Yeah.
Maintain the faith, man.
Yeah.
Maintain the faith of whatever religion you want to believe in. If you don't believe in religion, believe that the universe conspires on your behalf always. And a negative thing, even though circumstantially not ideal, is done for your benefit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
In some way or another. And you can find that, you know.
Yep.
And even if for years you've been holding on to something, it's, you know, that's one thing I notice now. If I get an uneasy emotion about something, first thing I do is point in and go, what is this bringing up within you? You know, now that I've obviously developed in this space and obviously will continue to develop, when something uneasy happens in my body, I question it and I go, what is it bringing up in you that you can look at now? Where can you, because people are going to reveal things to reveal your own suffering. You know what I mean? It's people that bring that on. So it's like, it's good. Otherwise, if we're all enlightened and we're all living this fucking peaceful life, then, you know, there's a bit of boredom within that. You know, we're here to learn and grow and like develop as humans and live a human life. So when things happen now, it's like, I question it straight away. Like within, I just go in straight away. Like it's automatic portal. It's like, all right, let's see, besides that person that's bringing that emotion on, what is it bringing up within you?
Yep.
Is it bringing up something within you, or is it just triggering something that you're about? You know, like, you know, if someone triggers me, I'm like, I just want them to be them. Because I've actually had that happen here. Where a lot of people come in and they're not themselves, and they're putting on a fucking show. Like they're trying to show me who they are, and their egos are through their fucking ass.
Yep.
And I get triggered by it. But I look at the trigger. It's like I just want to be like, bro, just shake them and be like, bro, just be you with me. You don't have to be fucking cool. You don't have to tell me how cool you are.
Yeah.
But I don't obviously hold on to the emotion of like being annoyed. I think it just comes from a place of like empathy of like, I wish you could just learn that you could just be you. But then once again, I just let go and be like, well, that's your journey. So how quickly you digest it and let it go is the difference between pain and suffering, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think another part of that is what you're explaining sounds to me like mirroring. It's like a psychological, I suppose, a recognition of a psychological thing where if we get emotionally triggered by somebody else, it's usually the thing that's upsetting you is mirroring what upsets you about you. Do you know what I mean? And I suppose the difference you want to, because you can't affect anybody else, you can only affect you. So going inward is definitely the key. Like that's saying what you said, is going inward and saying, okay, why is that triggering me? What do I see in that person? It's mirroring back things that you have to work on within yourself.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That person's not the problem because they are who they are. You know what I mean? They're acting like that, but it's mirroring back to me something that I have to work on.
Yeah.
And that's like what you're saying is I have to go within me to fix that. I can't go to that person and slap him and say,
Tell me to change it.
Act right, mate.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That's not how you fix the problem within you because the problem's still within you.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
So, so it's kind of like one of those things. I think it's mirroring is what you're explaining there. Isn't it funny how like everything that we can ever think of psychologically is already been thought of?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we're only limited by our knowledge of what other people have already fucking experienced and written down, and you know what I mean? Yeah. Like how it's not that we're silly or stupid. It's just that there's so much infinite things that go on within our mind and our experience that, man, there's so much to learn.
But it only comes from experience.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about the word, if we're going to talk about the exact word experience, good, bad, and indifferent, call it what you will, we're all here to experience things. Where a lot of people try and block things out and just go, no, I just want to stay on this straight road. It's like, bro, just accept it all. I feel like at the moment in this, I feel like the last couple of months I've moved through a process, which has been great because I'm like, if I'm going to go into the new year like this, I'm very excited for what's to come. But my eyes are wide fucking open. And the more I can just stay open for it all, the more things just happen, and it's just experience. And like we talk about the game, like just enjoy playing the game. It doesn't mean you don't fucking feel and you don't, move through things and you don't avoid and whatever. It's just let it all just play out. You know, I let the cards fall now. Like, and it's not from a place of like, I don't sit there at home and fucking think $1 million is going to rise on my doorstep, or I take action, but I feel like I'm taking better and more intuitive, positive action because I'm not thinking about things. I'm just fucking going with the day. So today was very simple. I had a day off. Oh, let's see what God wants. Yeah. Go to the gym, called you, had a mad chat. You're 10 minutes away from where I was training. I don't usually train there.
Yeah.
Looked up. I'm like, oh, they're funny that. We come here, we do this. Yeah. And then just, it's very not worrying. It's just letting things just be what they are. And you still care. Like I still care so much, but I just move from a place of like no control of just like, let's just move with it. And we'll just, if we've got to pivot, we've got to pivot. We always talk about pivoting. Like
you're flowing.
Yeah.
You're flowing with what not necessarily what comes, but because you're still directing your life, but you're just going with the current and you're directing the boat that you're in.
Yeah.
Accordingly. Okay, we need to dodge that rock. We need to go this way. Or we need to go that way. But you're still going in the current of the river. You're not trying to fight against it. You're going with the flow. which is really important. So, I mean, that's the thing, right? Is like divine timing is one thing. And again, that it relates back to the universe conspires on your behalf. Like, you weren't training there. I fucking lost my job yesterday. You know what I mean? I lost my license and my job. Big deal. Doesn't matter. You know, I've been through some shit before. Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't really matter. I'll figure it out. And I know that my circumstances are only limited by my ability to mentally lock in and have faith and to take action about the next step that I want to go in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I love that.
That's all you're limited by. That's all you're limited by is your mental state.
Even when I called you this morning, you already dissected it before you said I lost my license, and then you already gave me exactly what, you know what I mean? Then I brought up to the point of view of like, you know, being able to, you know, focus more on your health.
Yep.
And that was like straight away, it was like, well, this was supposed to happen. And I said to you, I said, would have you moved if you didn't lose your license? And you said, no, I would have continued on the same trajectory. Well, it's like, well, God has clearly put something in your path to block that, to move you this way.
That's right.
And you've already taken 10 steps ahead. Where this is the difference when it comes to self-development and awareness. You might have unlocked this in 3 months from now, but gone on a 3-month victim binge,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah,
but you've
yeah.
gone, no, the next fucking day. You're out doing cardio you're out doing cardio this morning because like, fuck, all right, well, I'm usually in a truck. I'm just going to start moving.
Yep.
Prime example.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing about, like, if you're taking your life, and I was well aware, I suppose, of where my health was going in reference to this job, not having enough sleep and, you know, doing long hours and not being as active, and not being able to have the time to try and get into the gym and doing my best, but understanding that long term, this job's not good for my health. Do you know what I mean? And understanding that the effect that's having physically on my body, and a little bit mentally and spiritually as well, because you're kind of like, I know how good I've been in the past, and I know what I need to do to have longevity and health. And when I can't do that and I feel like I'm restricted by having to make money, that's a problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like going back to what you said and what we're talking about earlier is, if you're not going to change it, the universe will make you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not going to be a happy time.
Yep.
Because you got given the opportunity when you came to the awareness that it wasn't good, and you spiritually put that into the universe, and the universe conspires on your behalf always. So it's like, okay, to get you to expand and experience the next part, you're going to have to go through some shit.
Yeah.
And here's your shit.
Yeah. Take it.
Lose your license, lose your job
Yeah.
the same day. See you, motherfucker.
Yeah.
What are you going to do now? Beep, beep,
Yeah.
beep. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So Christian's infinite wisdom come into my head, and I'm
Yeah.
like,
What are you
that's the
gonna do?
thing is, what are you going to do
Did you think
now?
of that when it happened?
I have had that thought.
Like, what are you going to do? Did that come through yesterday?
Yeah, it's funny enough. You said that. You know who? One of the girls that used to work for me, Rachel, she said that to me once when the shop burned down. She goes to me, what do we do next? I just looked at her and a fucking massive smile come on my face. I said, I fucking love that. What's next?
Yeah.
What's next?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't fucking know, but I'm gonna fucking get moving. You know what I mean? And then Christian said that to me. So that lesson, I'm just making this realization now as I speak to you on this podcast. She said it to me first. What goes back to women being more intuitive. You know what I mean? Then fucking males up. And then Christian Reed brought that to me. You know what I mean? And he did it in the most gangster way ever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was just like, rah. So now, yes, that's ingrained. That's ingrained. When something negative happens, I emotionally, intelligently, I suppose emotionally deal with it because of my intelligence. Emotional intelligence anyway, because we know that I'm not that smart. I'm not above anyone or below anyone in that respect. It's just like, I know I'm sad. I feel like I've let my partner down a little bit. I know the implications and the stuff that's going to come with these things happening to me, but I'm not wallowing in it. It's almost ingrained now. What's next?
Yeah,
What's the next step?
And you're not blocking it. That's the difference, right? A lot of people can block and numb those things.
Yep.
And use other things to block and numb them. Yep. You're not blocking and numbing it. You see the emotion. You feel sad. You feel it lack. You feel like you've made people have to work harder to get you around, or whatever the case may be. You've already dissected all that.
Yep.
but you're going to take action straight after.
Yeah.
You know?
And I've actually made amends with that because when I say I made amends, I had conversation, and I had that conversation with my missus last night. Yeah, and I'm like, I'm so sorry. She was like, it's okay, and I'm like, I know you're okay, but like I just feel like I've let you down. So I've learned that part of it for me, and I was emotionally intelligent enough to understand this is what I'm feeling, and then I took action in terms of vulnerability. Because a lot of people, and maybe a lot of people listening to this, are in that boat where they don't have the conversation because they feel ashamed. But you don't realize that your partner's the one that's, got your back. They got your back, bro. And the more you're vulnerable, the more, going back to what my friend said in the sauna, when you let the vulnerability walls down, that one person should have your back and understand and love you even more for being vulnerable.
Yeah, I love that.
Because you can do that with strangers and they can do that. Yeah. Like my mate has, like I said, connections with friends in that sauna. He goes, bro, the connections sometimes are deeper than people I've known for years because they've had that vulnerable connection where they're like, I'm going through this. And he's going through that. And then they talk about it and they bounce off each other. And they don't even know each other's names.
Yeah, but they're gone straight there.
They've gone deep there.
Yeah. Do
you know what I mean? So that's kind of like, it's really important to have those conversations. And I'm not talking about making somebody else your emotional tampon. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm talking about actually having a connection where people understand and having that person. And it definitely doesn't have to be a stranger. It's better if you have people like you and me.
If I had to find a place that I've learned the most about myself is through speaking. Mm-hmm. Like it's through, and obviously going in, but then speaking about it or speaking about what I'm moving through. That's like any books, any podcast, anything else besides that, like the main thing, I've learned more about myself speaking about myself and speaking about what I'm moving through, which has given me the awareness to, one, put it on the table and look at it with someone else, to be like, hey, let's both look at this together. Can you give me a hand? Like, can you sort my pantry out? Come in here, should the salt shaker go there? Well, yeah, you could have it there, but, you could always put it over here. It's like, oh, yeah, cool. Yeah, I didn't think of that. So just having that, and, like, I'm fucking too aware of my emotions. Like, straight away if something comes up, I put it on the table with Janae. I'm not going to sit with this. I'm going to put it on the table. Because I'm like, it's just a thing that once you get comfortable with it too, of speaking about what you're moving through or how you feel, you can start to see the emotion's just an emotion. Yeah. Like it just, but when you wallow in it and you sit with it, that's when it bubbles, creates black fucking dark energy, and it puts skeletons in the closet. And I had a mate the other day just bring up all this stuff he's moving through. I'm like, yeah, I've moved through that. And he's looked at me, he's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, bro, I've dissected it, I've looked at it, I've seen it for what it is, I've accepted that was a part of me, and you move through it. And he's like, so I'm Byron, you're not the only one. That's instant relief.
That's the point. God. That's the point, right? Is that, and that's the point that I'm talking about with old mate in the sauna, is that like everyone's going through, as much as it's different, a lot of the feelings are the same. Yep. We all feel similar emotions. Mm-hmm. It's not until you get numb, as you were telling me a story about someone with suicide and stuff like that. When the emotions become numb and you don't feel anything, no joy, no love, no pain, anything, and you're just doing things, that's when you're in the darkest place. Yep. And you need to probably seek help. Yep. And it's probably more important that you get it out, like you said, putting it on the table and finding someone to go, man, I need to get this out because it's emotionally blocked me. Yeah, and then you're going to go through the emotional scale. Yeah, you're going to go through that whole, and you can look at the emotional vortex of frequency, right? You're going to start from the lowest one, which is sadness, all that hate, sadness, resentfulness, all that sort of stuff. And you're going to work up from a depressive state. You're going to work all the way through those negative emotions, and it may happen in one session. It may happen over time where you have to go back to it because sometimes it gets overwhelming, and then have to work your way up all the way up to love again. Do you know what I mean? And that's where you see people that have come out of depression. A lot of the times they're operating out of love You know what I mean? Because they learnt to love again. You know what I mean? So it's really important for anyone that is struggling that if you don't feel any emotions, it's the universe signaling to you. You need to probably take action. You need to switch the emotional polarity switch to go, I've got to do something.
Yeah. Because that's where destructive behavior comes.
Well, not only that, is that like when you feel like, I think a lot of that comes from not knowing, going back to what you said before, is that the power is within you. You're waiting for someone to save you, you know what I mean? But no, you're one of one.
Yeah.
Everybody else may know you're going through depression, but no matter how much support is around you, it's on you to flick the switch and say, I'm not having it anymore. Yeah. I'm not feeling. I want to let this out and I want to be honest. And I think a lot of the blocks for people, and I'm not a psychologist, so I'm saying this just from what I've observed from having people, and I've saved a couple of people from suicide, literally with the noose around their neck. Yeah. One guy had to take the bullets out of the gun, right? So it's kind of like, I've saved a fair few people, so I'm talking from experience, is to just get them and talk, get them talking, having that person without judgment be able to, you know what I mean? And that's the thing about the blocks, is that the person that's depressed, a lot of the times they're so guarded and worried about judgment from whoever that they can't let it out because they feel like they're going to get judged. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And the block is from them. You're like, just release that linchpin, that block, and then that's where they're going to see the floodgate open of emotion.
Do you think it's because they're so numb they just don't want to like kick a dog while it's down sort of thing? Because like I feel like if you're in a depressed state, the last thing you want to do is talk about it to make you feel anything worse than what you're currently feeling.
I don't know. If you're emotionally numb, I don't necessarily think that it could be worse. I just think when you get to that point, it's hopeless. Yeah. They feel like it's hopeless. They think there's no point talking about it. Do you know what I mean? But they don't understand that you're the facilitator of your own pain. Yeah. You know what I mean? It takes you to flick the switch because no one else can flick it for you. Yeah. I think it's just like I suppose it's a really complex topic when we're talking about it because sometimes people have those blocks where they're vulnerable and then other people are so addicted to the negative emotions that they don't realize they're in a loop.
Yeah, they don't know. They're used to, if you're going to feel anything, you're going to feel those emotions because you're so used to them.
You're comfortable in them. Yeah. You know what I mean? I suppose it's very complex in reference to that. So it's hard to have a one thing, but you got to understand that no matter which scenario of those apply, the universal principle still applies, is that you have to flick the mental switch of polarity to say, I'm sick of this, and realize that I'm one of one and I'm the creator of my own reality. God, or whatever God you believe in, has given me the power to create the next thing. Do you know what I mean? I can create the next thing to be the same as what I've experienced now. I can terminate it, leading to suicide, or I can take the next step to being positive. And it doesn't have to be a leap straight to love, but it has to be better than yesterday. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It has to be better than yesterday. And I think that's, it's good that when you have someone that you can trust to be vulnerable with, but it's also good to have emotional strength enough to say it to a stranger. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Which is what my mate, he's the fucking superhero of that. Yeah. He's like, bro, he can be talking to someone and just be like, you know, he might have childhood trauma where, you know, he was like sexually assaulted and he'll just talk to someone freely, openly. And you're like, bro, you really just open up that conversation. And once you do that, and some people will be like, yeah, no, I had that too. Yeah. You know what I mean? I understand. Yeah. You know what I mean? I understand your pain. You know what I mean?
Good conversation.
Good conversation.
How do you feel? That was an hour 15.
Hour 15, probably go for longer. Yeah, no, I'm always good, man. I'm always good. I kind of know whenever we talk, it's going to be going down this road. You see how we didn't talk about anything that was superficial. It wasn't top layer stuff. We touched on the Bondi stuff, but I think their conversations, if anything, if this this conversation serves as anything to anybody listening, is that you should be able to get to a deep point.
Yeah.
And an hour, 15 minutes, which is where we're kind of up to now, shouldn't be a punish, right? I could probably talk to you for the next 8 hours if you needed to.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I think you need to find that person. What's the take home, Matt, for these people? If you're trying to impact people in a positive light, and I don't know if there's an intention to your podcast or whatever. I know you said it was, just real talk. What would be your take home message?
My intention for the podcast would be for people to realize that they are one of one, and that is such a special thing, and to find the self-worth to know that you have the ability and the capabilities to live out an amazing life. Because that one thing I'm scared of, my biggest fear, is to live this life with regret and leave this life thinking that I didn't maximize my potential of what I could actually do. So that's where I feel like I'm at service in Unwind, G3, this podcast, my 80-20 reset, all that stuff, is to instill confidence and self-worth within people to go, you can live a fucking cool life. Like, don't think that you've just got to deal and put up with everything that you're moving through. Like, you've got tools that you can access within you to be able to live out an amazing life. The take home from this specific podcast would probably be the fact that, that connection is real. I feel like human connection is powerful. And when you can find that one that you can be consistently you with, it helps get further quicker.
Yes.
I feel like that with you, I have that. Like, I feel like a lot of growth happens after every podcast. It's like home to me. Like, access is part of me the second we talk, and I'm like, this is good. We've got this common, goal of being the best versions we can for ourselves, our partners, our kids. We've got similar upbringings. We've got a lot of commonalities to go. I've got you, you've got me through the good times and the bad, but let's, continuously just show up for each other with one face. Mm-hmm. Like I said to you on the phone, biggest powerful point that you've got is just one face. Whether there's 1,000 people in this room, no one, or just me. Like, it's just you. And I think a lot of people don't know who they are because they use other people and things to think they should be something else. Mm-hmm. Where there's another part of them that goes, no, you can be who you are. Trust me, it's very authentic. People buy into authenticity. They don't necessarily buy into the product. People buy that it's authentic. They can feel the authenticity. Yeah. Little things like this podcast. Literally every podcast name is just going to be real talk with whoever. I could easily go on a spill and do this big description and, this is Anthony and, I can record it and, all this stuff. Where it's like, one, I don't fucking know how to do most of that. And two, I just press play, we go for it, and I click stop, and then I record it. Yep. And people have said, fuck, I love how real it is. I was like, well, that's my thing.
That's the thing. Being authentic. I think that's the thing. If I was to sum it up from what you've told me, it's being authentic and genuine. Being not necessarily saying to the audience, you need to be authentic and genuine, but this is an authentic and genuine conversation with this person. Yeah. And you can like it, you can hate it, you can take issue with it, or you can take lessons from it. Whatever it is, it is. Yeah. You know what I mean? It is what it is.
Oh, beautiful conversation, my brother.
Yes,
I'm sure we'll do this again in a couple of months because I feel like it's nice to have just even updates. I feel like in 3 months from now, we'll update where you are on your journey, where I'm on my journey, and I guess we'll let the big man upstairs work out what we're going to talk about. Even today.
See whether I have a job or not.
See if you got a job or not. At Unwind.
Somewhere. It doesn't matter where it is.
All right, bro. I love ya. Thank you for the chat, and till next time.
No worries. Thank you very much. See you soon.